Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So this is the first video of STL playlist, and in this video we will discuss vectors, pairs and tuples. Now first we will discuss vector. So what is vector? It is a continuous sequence of objects which are of same data type. So this can be one of the vector. So I have declared a vector of size 6, and at 0th index there is element 1, first index there is element 2, similarly fifth index there is element 6. Now you will argue that this is similar to array. Yes, it is similar to array, but there is a difference between array and vector, which is array. Once we declare an array size, it cannot change. That means I cannot add any other element to an array or remove any element from the array. So but in vector the vector can grow or shrink. That means I can add another element even if I have declared the vector size at 6 while initializing it, but I can push another element to its right and increase the size of a vector, but this cannot be done in array. So that is the key difference between vector and array. Now we will see jump into the implementation and how to use vector in C++. So for using vector, you must include this library vector, and if you don't have this, it will give you error. So instead of this, just use this library. Most of computer programmers use this library, which is a compilation of all the libraries which are required to run basic data structures, basic functions. So now if I run this, I don't get error and a vector is initialized. Now the syntax of vector requires this vector keyword, and in this case I have to declare the data type of the object. Here it is int, and then I will declare the name of that vector. Here it is a, and in this brackets I have to declare size of this. Now if I print this, let's say I declare of size 5, so I get a 5 as a dot size. So dot size returns size of vector right now. Now if I don't declare any size, it will be of 0 size. Now how to take input? Input is similar to array. I have to just write iterate from, use a for loop and use cin. And similarly, if I have to print them, I'll just use cout and a of I. So accessing the element at index I is similar to array. Now this is via index. I can also iterate with an iterator. Now how to iterate with iterator? So you can use the iterator syntax, or you can use auto keyword. Now I will initialize auto with a dot begin, and until iterator is not equal to a dot end. So what this a dot begin and a dot end is? So in this vector, the first iterator, which is pointing to the first element of a vector, is known as a dot begin. A is vector name and dot begin means first element. Similarly, the next element of last element, that means if I add another element, what would be its iterator? So that iterator is called as a dot end. Now this is important that a dot n doesn't point to last element, it points to next of last element. That means there is nothing, but if I add an element, it will be here. So, and this incrementation means this iterator moves to its next element after each incrementation. And auto keyword is just an auto data type resolver basically. So if I just declare auto I equal to 5, this will also not give me error because auto will automatically resolve that I is an integer. So iterator, instead of writing the iterator syntax, I can just write auto because it is fast to write, I would say. And another way to iterate is auto C and this colon and over A and just C out C. This auto keyword will be used in map and set also, so it is important to understand the syntax of this. Now I can also iterate this like this. This is the shortest way to iterate it over vector, I would say. And what I'm doing is I'm just declaring auto and C is the iterator name and A is the vector, and I'm just printing C. Now C is nothing but int. I can also declare int here, and so C is basically here what I have to write. I have to write data structure of data type of the object which is stored in A, which is here is int. So int C, then column and A, and now I just have to print C. Now this was about iterating over it, and if I have to take input via iterator, you can also do that. So for what you have to do is for that you have, while taking input, you must pass this iterator via reference, then only it will take input of it. If you don't pass it, if you pass it like copy, it would be just 0 0 0 because a vector is initialized by 0 and there is no input taken because this is a copy of that vector. So to take input, you must write this ampersand before C. Now let's print the size for better understanding. Now what if I want to add that element, because that was the purpose why we are using vector instead of array. So for that there is a function called as pushback. So a dot pushback, and let's say I push 100. Now if you see the difference, so before pushing 100, the size of array was 6. Now it is 7. So I will just show you after printing. So as you can see, after pushing 100 to the vector, there is 100 at last position. Now pushback, what it does is adds element, the given element at last position, pushes it to the right side of current last element. So after 3 there will be 100 pushed. So this is the key difference between vector, I would say vector and array. And another functionality of vector is, let's say I have to initialize all the elements of vector with -1. Now as you can see, I will just print it. Now as I have declared a vector size n and I have initialized all the elements in it with -1. Now another way to do it is just while declaring size you give comma and just add -1 or whatever you want to initialize it with and just print. Now as you can see all the positions are uh, initialized with -1. Now if I do it with -100 it will initialize all of them. So these are the basic functionalities. Another is erase and insert, but those are not preferred because it the time complexity for those two functions is of n, and I think these functionalities are enough. Let's another functionality another functions which might be useful is a dot back, I would say. So back just returns the last element of the vector. And now similarly there is front, then there is size. Front means first element, size means size of vector, and removing the last element is of 1 in this case, so it returns nothing, so I cannot. So if I print a dot size now after popping the last element, so first it was 6 and now after removing the last element first it was 6 and after removing the last element it is 5. Now another important functions, I would say, let's first take the input for the syntax for sorting this vector is this. You have to sort from a dot begin. Their keyword for sort is sort, and in bracket you first give first iterator, which is a dot begin, and then a dot end, and after this the array will be sorted. So original array was 533153 and after sorting it become 13355. Similarly I can reverse this. For reversing again there is just a single change. Instead of sort keyword you just have to write reverse. There are also some other functions which are not that important, but if it would be better if you look at them. So you can find them on Geeks or Geeks. Just read them. They are not that important. Just go through them. Other two functions would be lower bound and upper bound, but you must have some idea about binary search for that. So I will skip them for now. But there are two functions uh, which can be called like this, lower bound, and you again have to give this a dot begin and a dot end, and whatever elements lower bound you have to find. So this is another function which might be useful, which is useful actually, but you must have idea about binary search first. So I will just keep them right now, just tell you syntax. This is lower bound, upper bound. You can also use find in this on array, but you should remember that vector is these functions will give appropriate result when the vector is sorted, these two functions specifically. So now there is, you can also nest vectors in vector. So how to do them? Let's say I have to declare a vector, 2D vector of size n cross m. How do I do that? Very brute force way to do it would be, first of all, I will iterate from 0 to n. Then for each case, I will declare a vector b of size m, and now I will take input in b of j, and I will push that vector to my original vector a. So 3 cross 3 and 1 2 3. So to declare a vector in vector, the inner object of this bracket should be vector int. So this is called as nesting. So in outer vector, the inner object in that outer vector is vector itself, and that vector's data type is int. Now how do I print this? Similar to array, a of I will point to that vector, and a of I of j will point to jth element in that ith vector. So same vector is printed. Now this is one way to do it. Another way to do it is just declare size of each entity of a in while initializing itself. So first of all, size of outer vector is n. Now in each at each row there is another vector which is of size m. Now understanding this would be difficult right now, but it is the syntax of declaring 2D vector. So this first vector is of size n, so that's why understanding the depth here is important. So this is first vector, and in this vector there is a nested vector. Now while initializing size, we are coming from top level to bottom level. Now top level is the outer vector whose size is n. Now in each, after that, we are in at each position of n there is another vector whose size is m. I hope you understand this declaration. Now after declaring this, I don't have to worry about out of bound index because I have declared all the sizes. This is a way to take 2D array 2D vector input. Now if I have to initialize them, I will just initialize the lowest level vector with -1. So all of them are initialized with -1, and all the functions which I implemented, which I explained for normal vector, will work here also. Now after vector there is second type of structure, which is pair. Now this is the syntax for declaring pair keyword, and pair means basically combination of two elements. Now these two objects can be anything. One of them can be string, one of them can be int, One of them can be double, or one of them can be a vector itself. So, so this also works. So how to initialize it? You can just write curly braces and give this input. And how to print them? To print the first element, I have to write d dot first, and to print the second element, I have to use second keyword. So d dot first is 1, d dot second is 2. Now I can also initialize a vector of pairs. So what I will do is I will declare a vector of pair of size n. For int I equal to 0, I less than an I plus plus. What I will do, I will take input of a of I dot first and a of I dot second. So let's say there are 3 points, 1 2 3 pairs, 1 2 4 5 and 7 8. Now so this is a. Now to print this, all it is easier to use auto keyword and c dot second. So always remember, when you use iterator, just how you normally print a of I dot first. Now remove that a of I with c. So the while using iterator, we have to just replace a of I with c. So c dot first, c dot second. So all of them are printed. So this is pair, I would say. I don't think there is anything here to explain. You can consider anything like string. The string will also work. One A, 4 BB and 7 CC. Now the third thing which I was which is there to explain is tuple. Now this tuple has no limit to how many elements are there in that tuple. So for example, here I declare a tuple t which has 3 parameters, and I will just make them like this. Now these tuples are not we cannot use assignment of tuple is not allowed because tuples are immutable. So once we initialize like this, they will remain as it is. Now how to print this? There is this type of syntax. So get 0 will return the 0th index element, which is 0. Similarly, if I do this 1, this is 1, and similarly 2, it will give me 2. Now tuples, I really don't use them because I can just use pair and 2 nested pairs to represent 3 elements, or I can just use a single vector of vector. So I don't prefer this tuple because I can just use a simpler implementation of vector. So I think we have discussed most of the things of from vectors, pairs and tuples, and you should have a basic idea about how to implement this. There are some functions of vectors which I didn't explain because they are very easier, I would say, to understand. I just explained most useful and important. So to learn all those functions, have a basic idea, you can look Geeks for Geeks for those Geeks for Geeks blog on vectors. And pairs and tuples, there is nothing more to explain, just how to initialize them, keyword and functions. Now for pairs, the if we use find or lower bound or upper bound, this type of functions, the first priority will be given to first element. So let me explain it like this. Let's say I declare a vector pair of int comma int v of size n, a of size n, and I will take input so this make it 7, this will be 4, and this will be 3, and this will be 5, let's say. Now if I sort this, now as you can see, the elements are sorted from the first according to first element. So key for sorting was this first element. Now we can also sort this by second element. For that we have to use the comparator, but I will discuss it in the last video of inbuilt functions. And another observation would be, if the elements are on first are same, then it will sort according to second element. So in this vector of in pair, the priority is given to first element first, and then to its second element if first elements are same. Now this will also this concept will also be repeated in upper bound and lower bound. So this was the remaining part, I would say. And basically I have explained all the things which are related to vectors, pairs and tuples, but I didn't explain in question because there is no question specifically based on this. These are just used for taking input of taking input in a question. So if there is a complex input, like I have to take coordinates as input, then I will use pairs. If I have to take 3 elements for each row, then I can use tuples. Or else if I have to take 2D vector itself, then I will use nested vector or vector of vector. So all these 3 data structures are basically used for taking input. Now in next video we will discuss sets. I will try to upload it as soon as possible, and that's it from my side. Thanks for watching.